What's up, you guys? So in this video, I wanted to discuss the journey that your food takes from when you first put it in your mouth to when it eventually gets eliminated from your body in the form of feces. Let's suppose that you were to take a big bite out of a cheeseburger while at a family barbecue. This burger would be made up of several different components, like a bun, patty, cheese, and perhaps some lettuce and tomato. Each of these will ultimately be broken down and digested into smaller molecules or nutrients that will be absorbed by the body. But where does this digestion occur exactly? Well, digestion begins as early as the mouth. Your mouth begins breaking down the food physically by chewing it up. This type of digestion is known as physical digestion or mechanical digestion. Furthermore, the saliva in your mouth also contains the enzyme salivary amylase, which helps to chemically break down carbohydrates into simpler two-sugar molecules called disaccharides. So those carbohydrates found within the bun from your burger begin to undergo chemical digestion before the food is even fully swallowed. Once the mouth is done chewing, the chewed-up food and saliva mixture is now referred to as a bolus. As you swallow the bolus, it will pass through your pharynx or throat and into your esophagus. Your esophagus runs from your pharynx in your neck through your chest cavity, running directly behind your heart. The esophagus, like many parts of the digestive tract, is lined with smooth muscle. This allows the food to be squeezed down through the esophagus using involuntary wave-like contractions of the muscle known as peristalsis. You can think of peristalsis as being similar to the way one might squeeze Go-Gurt from its tube. It is peristalsis, rather than gravity, that moves food down the esophagus, which allows humans to swallow food while hanging upside down or even while in outer space. It is also important to note that peristalsis occurs throughout the digestive tract and not just in the esophagus. Once the bolus has reached the end of the esophagus, it will enter the stomach. The stomach is a C-shaped organ found in the upper left corner of the abdominal cavity. The stomach itself is full of gastric juices consisting of hydrochloric acid and the enzyme pepsin. Pepsin serves the purpose of chemically digesting proteins like those found in the patty of the burger. Pepsin also only works in very acidic conditions, which is why you find it surrounded by hydrochloric acid within the stomach. While helpful to break down proteins in our food, these gastric juices could also be potentially harmful to the stomach itself. It is for this reason that the lining of the stomach regularly secretes mucus to serve as a protective barrier between the acidic gastric juices and the stomach lining. When this mucus is not made properly, or perhaps too little of it is made, a person might end up forming an ulcer in their stomach lining. Furthermore, the stomach is also lined with smooth muscle that allows it to physically churn and mechanically digest the food inside of it. By the end of its time in the stomach, the bolus becomes a more liquid-like substance called chyme. The chyme will leave the stomach through an opening at the base of the stomach called the pyloric sphincter or pyloric valve. This chyme will then enter the first part of the small intestine called the duodenum. The small intestine is about 7 to 13 feet long and is composed of 3 segments that food passes through in the following order: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. The duodenum, which is the smallest of the 3, has 3 attached organs, which are the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. The liver creates bile, which is essentially responsible for breaking up fats in the food that we eat into smaller droplets for easier digestion. This could include the fats found within the patty and or the cheese from our burger. The gallbladder, which is found right beneath the liver in the upper left abdominal cavity, is responsible for storing the bile until it is needed. Once a fatty-rich substance enters the small intestine, the gallbladder will squeeze, thereby pumping out all of the stored bile into the small intestine. Finally, the pancreas is responsible for making a pancreatic juice that contains sodium bicarbonate, more commonly known as baking soda, as well as various enzymes. The sodium bicarbonate is there to serve as a base that gets pumped into the duodenum once the acidic chyme has entered. The basic sodium bicarbonate will neutralize the chyme so that it will not harm the lining of the small intestine as it passes through. The concoction of enzymes found in the pancreatic juice serve the purpose of chemically digesting whatever macromolecules were missed by the mouth and the stomach. It is for this reason that we say that the majority of your chemical digestion occurs in the duodenum toward the beginning of the small intestine. Once the food has been fully digested into smaller molecules or nutrients, these nutrients will get absorbed by the body as they pass through the remainder of the small intestine. If you were to look at the lining of the small intestine, you might be surprised to see how convoluted it is. You would find that this lining has these large circular folds, with even smaller folds on these circular folds called villi, with even smaller folds on these villi called microvilli. This folds on folds on folds design is specialized to increase the surface area of the lining, which in other words provides more surface for even more absorption of nutrients. After the food leaves the small intestine, with nearly all of its nutrients extracted from it, it will then enter the large intestine. The large intestine forms a sort of frame around the small intestine, rising up along the right side of your abdominal cavity, traveling across the top of your abdominal cavity, and then traveling back down along the left side of your abdominal cavity, eventually terminating at the anus. As the food passes through its last major organ before being eliminated from the body, the large intestine is primarily responsible for absorbing water from whatever is left. If the large intestine absorbs too much water from the feces, the result is constipation. If the large intestine absorbs too little water from the feces, the result is diarrhea. Things that were not digested and or absorbed by the body, such as the cellulose found in the lettuce of the burger, will ultimately serve as fiber and pass right on out of the body with ease. So in summary, that bite of burger will pass from your mouth to your pharynx, to your esophagus, to your stomach, to your small intestine, to your large intestine, and then ultimately exit your body. That's it for this video. I hope that was helpful, and if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos to come.